Good evening and welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight's Champions League night. And here in the UK, it is bonfire night as well. And so we had to invite two guests into the studio that always bring the fireworks.
There we go. Puns are out.
Oh, my little sparkles, you two.
Oh,
Nedum, thank you very much for being here. Nedum Onuoha, Shaun, Wright-Phillips, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And yourselves?
Good?
Yeah, really good, man. Really good. It's good to be here. It's good to watch some more football. There's a nice little break coming up as well, but a couple of wins would do us a right treat, wouldn't it?
Yes,
absolutely.
Exactly.
2 games before the international break. So let's go straight into team news for Manchester City tonight. And it is an interesting one for you. So here is the starting 11. So in net, it is Ederson. And then it is Rico Lewis. This is a jazzy video, isn't it? And that is Jamai Simpson-Prusay. That is, of course, Manuel Akanji. And then you have Joško Vardiol, Mateo Kovacic. And then our captain tonight is Bernardo Silva. Savinho is back. And so is Phil Foden. And then in wonderful form, it is Matheus Nunes. And of course, it's Erling Haaland. So that is Manchester City's starting 11 for this evening. On the subs, just so you know, you do have Ortega and Carson, but it's Walker, Ake, Doku, De Bruyne, Gundogan, and then Wright, O'Reilly, McAtee and Wilson Esbrand. So you've got 4 of the young players there on the bench. But the good news there, of course, is that Kevin De Bruyne is on the bench. So that is the City news for tonight. And Shaun, straight away when the team news came through to us all, we all looked at defence there, and Jamai is starting tonight. What did you think of that?
Well deserved. I think through pre-season, when I watched him play, he improved. He seems to have picked up what Pep wants relatively quickly in terms of that position, because we know Pep plays it a certain way. And then I watched him in the Carabao Cup against Spurs in midweek, and when he came on, I thought he was phenomenal in a game that was quite open and quite end-to-end. So he had to make sure his positioning was right. He had to be comfortable on the ball, because Spurs at times were quite aggressive as well. So I think he deserves this chance.
Yeah, I completely agree. When he came on last week in that situation, in that stadium, losing, in that, I thought it was great when he came on.
Yeah, he was. And, it's a great feeling to get the chance to play and to be playing at a stadium like Spurs, playing against a team that good. But I'm sure he loved it, and he's very much prepared. As Shaun was saying, this isn't him just all of a sudden arriving in the first team and not knowing what he's supposed to do. He knows what he's supposed to do because he's sort of been shown that throughout all the different age groups in the academy. And this is somebody who was the captain of the youth team last year when they won the Youth Cup. And he's a really good player. He's very highly thought of. Obviously coming in because of, say, players that might be struggling. I think it's Stones and Ruben Diaz who are back in Manchester. But opportunity, when it's there, you've got to be ready. And I think Jemai is very much going to be ready. I really hope he plays well and enjoys the occasion because this is a magical moment. Like, for myself, for all the years I played for City, I would have loved to have played in the Champions League game. And here he is being trusted to go out there and fully deserving of the opportunity as well.
Yeah, it's a real bucket list thing, I imagine, for all footballers. So for him to have done that at such a young age. But like we were saying, you get an opportunity, but you've then got to take it. So this is his opportunity to show that he is ready for first-team football.
Yeah, but I think in many ways he's done that. Although, like I said, pre-season isn't the levels of the Champions League or the Premier League. He showed what he was capable of then. He then comes into the Carabao Cup against a very strong Spurs side, shows what he's capable of then. And Pep wouldn't start him if he didn't think he was ready. And I think from seeing Jemai himself, he looks like he knows he's ready. He didn't panic once when he gets the ball. He don't panic. He's very calm. And in a Man City team, the way Pep wants you to play, that is an attribute that is massively needed. He takes the ball anywhere, mate.
For sure. And I think what's impressive from my standpoint, which is very easy to forget sometimes, like Pep knows this guy's good enough because he can see that he's good enough in training. He's surrounded by some of the best players in the world, and not just surrounded by, he's playing against some of the best players in the world throughout the week. So if you can do well in training at Man City, there's a good chance you'll be able to play. And obviously the environment's different because they're away from home. It's a Champions League game. But he's tested himself day in, day out against the best the Premier League has seen in the last 4 years in particular. So he's going to be more than ready. And if he can just sort of stick with what's brought him the opportunity, I've got every belief that he'll be great.
Another proud night for the academy, of course, because he is starting, as is Rico Lewis starting, so 2 academy products. But when you look across the defensive line, obviously Joško Vardiol is 23, and then you've got Jemai and Rico Lewis. So you've got Manuel Akanji, who's really
the old boy, yeah,
repping the should we say the experience tonight?
I think it's fine with that old boy.
Yeah, in context, you could call him old. I think he'll accept it because by comparison, is he a decade older than Jemai? That's pretty old.
Is he early 30s, is he?
How old's Jemai? He's 18, isn't he?
Is Jemai 18?
Yeah, he was playing in the Youth Cup last
young.
year, so he'll be 18, 19. So yeah. 10 years it's a long old time.
Is that any pressure for him tonight then, knowing that he is...
Manuel?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think we're talking about players who, like him, this guy's played in the Champions League final. This guy's won league titles. This guy's been a Swiss international for a long time. He's played in huge games. I think, as we sort of see through football sometimes, as a senior player, if you have younger people around you,
you kind of just take them.
Yeah, you take them in and you sort of play the game in a different manner. Certain things which you get used to in terms of being able to just explain in a certain way, or in fact, certain things you don't need to explain to people who are as experienced as you are. But for younger people, you've got to talk about it in a different way. You've got to get used to those relationships. And there's more pressure on his shoulders as such to make sure that this player does well. But best of all, for Manuel and others, they want them to do well. Yeah. And, they're good enough to be there. But there's so many little things as a youngster which you'll learn in these moments. And with good teachers around you, like Pep, like the coaching staff, like the other players in the team, I'm sure Manuel's really looking forward to the challenge because, one thing about football is, you never get younger. So as a consequence, some of the people you play with and against, they'll be a long, long way from your age themselves.
I just double-checked, and Jemai is 19 and Manu is 29, so...
You see that?
Yes, he did.
What a start! Yes! Yes! Right. That's A-level in math for you. There you go. Decade. Called it.
Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk to you both about the Bournemouth performance as well. Obviously, Manchester City's first league defeat of the season, first defeat in the Premier League since last December. It was an interesting game. I was there. I was lucky enough to be there. It was a really lovely day. The stadium was great. The staff were lovely. It was a really lovely town as well. But obviously, the thing we went for didn't happen. So, in terms of the game, Shaun, what was your kind of overarching opinion on City's performance?
It wasn't necessarily, I would say, as bad as people have said. I think we got to start. A lot of people outside of football have to start respecting Bournemouth are a threat, especially the way they play football. Being at Bournemouth, they're a very aggressive team. They have quality players that can hurt you. And this year we've been, in many ways, a little bit deceptive back to how we used to be on the counter-attacks. Regardless of who we play, people keep slicing through us. And that's only because we have so much of the ball all the way in that final third, and we're trying to make things happen. And one pass goes wrong and everybody's waiting to just spring attacks, kind of like in how Tottenham got a lot of their chances in the Cup. So, and we still had chances to score our goals and change that matter in the game, and it just didn't happen for whatever reason. But I think that will just wake the boys up. That will just make them angry. We've been around them enough to know they hate losing. Most of them don't even like drawing. So that will say, all right, we have to go again. The levels in the Premier League in a whole have risen. Again, it's only not, we don't just have to worry about the likes of like your Arsenals, your Chelseas, your Aston Villa, your Liverpool. The teams in the second half of the table and the bottom half of the top half of the table are going to cause us all sorts of problems if we ain't at our maximum. And that's all that is. But I think it's okay to lose. It's not a bad thing. Like, we just bounce back and get on with it.
Yeah, I just think sometimes we forget that we lose, you know, when we go for such long periods. I want to talk more about that counter-attack that you mentioned there, because we saw the goal there, the Kirkies cross to Eva Nielsen, and as soon as it happened, it was so reminiscent of the goal that we conceded against Wolves as well. We're going to have a little look at that now. Given that's two goals in a close proximity of time that are so similar, what does that say to you, Nedum, about our current defending?
I think when you think about defending, we tend to just think about like a back four and a goalkeeper, but sometimes you need to think about it on a wider context and think of it as a whole team type thing. Because when City have had like the best defensive record in the league multiple times across Guardiola's tenure, it's been because front to back they've been very, very good. One thing which I'd say across the years is that a lot of these teams who, you know, score these types of goals, I think historically they would just bed in and hope that they have one person up top who could maybe run a channel and help their team progress. But one thing which you see from this highlight and the Bournemouth goal is that teams are very well organised, but when it's time to transition, they commit bodies forward. I think there's a different level of coach and different mindset that exists within the league now. And I think the only teams that will sort of suffer goals like that are the ones who can keep good possession in the other team's half, which is like a Man City, for example. I think some other sides who don't have that ability to maintain possession, they'll concede a different type of goal. Whereas for City, if you're playing against them, you know, most of your opportunities will come if City lose the ball and you need to be able to spring on the attack. And you need to have players who are fit enough, direct enough, skillful enough to understand when to go. And when you get in there, what's the quality like? Because I thought the ball by Semedo in the Wolves game was an excellent ball. You know what I mean? And even that one for Evan Nielsen in the Bournemouth game from Keres, that's an excellent ball. And, you know, teams concede goals. I think we're in the business of supporting City. So as a consequence, if something goes wrong, everyone overreacts to it. Yeah. You know, City losing a game feels catastrophic. We're like, oh, recent performances haven't been great. It's 30 games unbeaten.
Yeah.
30 games. Just like, that's the Premier League record, isn't it? That's like mind-bending, 30 games.
You have to think about it, Chief. We used to play a similar way to Bournemouth under Hughes. Yeah. When Arsenal used to come here, that's basically how we set up. Stay tight. When we get the chance to break, we had either me, Craig Bellamy, and we would just go. Yeah. So, like, it's understandable when you don't have the football all the time. Yes,
people, as I say, you can overreact to it, and we can sort of be sensible and have a conversation about it. We can have a conversation about, say, the disruption in flow between players being out and players not being in the team for long. Disruption about, say, what does it mean for some people to not have a pre-season, some people to miss periods of the season through injury. Like, we all know this isn't the best version of Man City right now, and they've lost their first game in 30. Let's be realistic. You know, it's a long old season, and by comparison to like Liverpool top whatever, so people are like, oh, this is the best thing ever. If Liverpool was so good and City so bad, how's the gap 2 points?
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. They're not in the position that they would have hoped to be in, but the position they would hope to be in might be 3 points further ahead. It's not that drastic. It's disappointing, and I think for the goals that City will concede through this season, they might look similar, but the fact is, does it matter if you win every game? Because some people, I'm sorry I'm ranting here a little bit, apologies. A lot of people say like clean sheets are the be-all and end-all of everything, and everyone in an ideal world, you want that. But if I gave you the chance for City to not have a clean sheet again for the rest of the season, but win every single game, would you say, yeah?
Take it straight away.
That's what I mean. So in reality, the results are the most important thing, and I'm sure that somewhere down the road they'll get them and there'll be more consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. And with regards to Liverpool, don't forget as well, they lost to Forest, which obviously at the time was a bit more of a shock than it is now, seeing where Forest are in the league. And obviously Arsenal have been beaten also off Bournemouth and off Newcastle as well. So yes, I totally get on board your everybody not sort of panicking and overreacting.
Yeah.
If people are panicking and overreacting in the defence, they seem to be also be doing it in the attack as well. Erling Haaland is still the top scorer in the Premier League, but my goodness me, man doesn't score in 2 games and people lose their heads.
They call it a drought.
Yeah. It's the rotating narrative, isn't it? With Erling, Erling is like every other striker that, in the fact that they score some and they miss some. Erling has a volume of chances. When he's like clinical, it's like he cannot miss. And everybody goes through that phase, but then at the end of the day, he's a human being. But what I like about him is his determination to make sure he tries to take the next one. You know, he's not going to be doubting himself whatsoever when he's in front of goal, even if he's missed a chance. I'll be honest, if this was me and I missed a chance, I'd be running away from the ball, I'll be honest. You know, this is a guy that can do stuff like this. What a goal that is.
How did you describe that when you saw it, by the way? Because I've heard so many different descriptions.
Do you know, for me, the best way to describe it is to look at the camera shot of Bernardo Silva when it goes in.
Okay.
He puts his hands on his hip and one hand on his head. And he's
that's most probably because Bernardo
God.
Can't jump that high.
Yeah.
That's most probably why.
Is this the right angle for it? Yeah, if you look over Haaland's just shoulder now, you see Bernardo in the back. Oh,
we didn't see it.
I've seen it.
Bernardo in the background is as confused as any person on planet Earth. And I was exactly the same, because that finish should never happen. But because it's him, of course it happened.
The thing that stood out about that finish to me is, like, normally if you can do something like you do that, but to get over the ball, to hit it down into the ground,
Impossible.
Shows how high you've actually got to get that much of a clean contact.
Impossible.
I loved it. I think I heard a back-heeled scorpion volley.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I heard.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's a fair way to describe it, yeah.
Somebody else referred to it as an octopus.
Look how high his leg is.
What?
People get yellow cards for that in other parts of the field.
That is way above your head, by the way, Shaun, isn't it? Like, you could have walked under that.
I can't even jump that high.
See,
what is that? What is that? From that view, it don't even look like he's trying the end product. Basically.
Yeah, you're right.
That looks like, that to me looks like a high boot hamstring strain and like a kick in the head for someone. But for Erling Haaland, that's just a goal, isn't it? Fair play to him.
I love that. Okay, so a drought for him, despite still being the league's top scorer. But it's so nice to see Phil Foden back as well, isn't it? We've not had him consistently all season yet. So to have him back, starting for a run of games, Shaun, is so great. And we need Phil last season back now.
It will come, and I think this goal here, it showed that. Like, when he came back and we was watching this game, that finish for me is Phil Foden of last year. But once those run of games come, he's that type of player that will naturally just grow and grow and grow. But I think as a team, it gives us something else as well, because he's got that through the centre. He'll hit shots from outside the box. So all those teams that sit deep, they will start stopping to sit so deep, because they know he will just let fly if they don't press, and we know what his quality is like from outside the box.
Oh, yes, we do, and it's wonderful.
Can I just tell you a little story here? Yeah?
I would love you to tell me a story, yeah.
So this weekend, I was in Amsterdam, and it was to watch Ajax against PSV, and it's because I know the Ajax captain, Jordan Henderson, yeah. Okay. And we were talking about so many different things. It was myself, Fraser Campbell, and him, talking about so many different things, and one thing he spoke about was the England team, and we were trying to pick a starting England side. And he picked Phil Foden, and he said, for me, if Phil Foden is in the team and is playing well, you're definitely going to win. And that's coming from somebody who doesn't get the chance to play with him on a week-to-week basis. And think of all the players that he's seen. He knows Phil Foden's the boy. So I think if Phil can find something, it doesn't even have to be the form of last season. If you can find some form for this season that will help this team out, especially for him being a City fan as well, like, he's a star, you know what I mean? And I hope he finds it. I hope he stays good and healthy for the season, because his drive's there. And when his performances start to improve as well, it'll be an absolute joy to watch, like we've seen across all the years.
Don't be telling me things that might make me like Jordan Henderson, by the way.
Listen, he's an Ajax player.
I remember him where he came from.
No.
No.
You don't like him because he's from Sunderland? That's not nice.
Thank you both. So that is the City team news. Now, a little bit later on, we will be showing you the highlights from the under-19s game today and getting Ben Wilkinson's reaction to that as well. But before that, let's take a look now at the starting 11 for Sporting. In goal, it is Israel. And then it's Matthias Rice, Morita, De Bast, Pedro Gonçalves, Gyökeres, Francisco Trincão, Araujo, Diamond, Hulmand, and Giovanni Quinenda.
You're getting good at this. You're getting good at this.
There's no way. You must have an Alistair Mann in here or something.
That's the starting 11 today
you're
for
getting
Sporting
good.
Lisbon.
She's getting good.
No, something's going on here. Something's going on here. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get to the bottom of this for the audience.
Thanks so much, Shaun, for just having my back there and just saying nice and not trying to pick me, Nedum.
Gyökeres, like it was just a normal thing. You know what I mean? That's when I knew
what I
something was
asked you. I asked you that off air, didn't I?
Something's going on now.
I called him Gyökeres off air, so.
You see, there we go. Thank you, Ali Man.
Thank you so much, Ali Man. No, why did you ruin it? Everybody was dead impressed with me.
We'll cut that bit. We'll cut that bit.
Do you know the last time we did this, my dad said, "Oh, your pronunciation's got really good," and I didn't tell him that Ali Man was in my ear. Thanks so much, Ali Man. Okay,
bad example.
We could talk about the team, but I think we should just go into the headline. Obviously, news around Sporting for the last couple of weeks, and the news, of course, that their manager Ruben Amorim is the new Manchester United manager. He starts on November the 11th, so he has this game against us, and then he has his final game managing Sporting at the weekend, and then he will take charge of them. Straight away, kind of thought. I mean, Shaun, it's weird to me. He's the Manchester United manager, but he's their manager tonight.
I think that whole process is strange as well. I think in many ways, if that was the play, nothing needed to really come out or be announced as such, rather than it all happening, and then now he's got to continue until the international break. But football, it always comes up with something new and something that surprises everybody in terms of how it's handled or dealt with. But I know his time there, he's done pretty well as a manager, and I'd never like to see people do bad, but in terms of this, he's coming.
You're in a safe space there.
You're good.
Get off your chest, Shaun.
We all want to see Manchester United do bad on this show, Shaun.
He's coming to the Premier League, and a lot of managers have had that reality check, meaning the one that's obviously just been sacked. It's a different world in the Premier League. It's more competitive, it's more intense. There's, in many ways, more mind games. He has to be tactically astute, not just for the game, but for the duration of the season. He has to watch other teams and think, oh, if I move this guy maybe 6 yards, we might be able to get benefits. So it's not going to be as easy as that, but let's see.
Let's see indeed. We'll get Nedum's opinion in just a minute, but first of all, let's hear what Pep Guardiola and Bernardo Silva think about the appointment.
Well, play quite similar like we faced 2 seasons ago. The pattern is so clear. I think they use the ball possession from back a little bit more than before. Before they have a striker 2 years ago, a Palhinha, that was most linked to him. Now keres is quite similar, linked, but his movements in behind are so dangerous. The pace and the control, and a good link inside, a good switch of plays, a good movements in behind for the people in front. It's quite similar patterns that the page 2 seasons change the players, but with the same manager, have the same mentality, and winning the Portuguese league after 20 years ago, and last season Duke again. That means how good his job has done here.
And they're a big machine right now, to be honest. I only have compliments because they've been flying in the Portuguese league, and it's going to be very tough to beat them tomorrow, the way they've been playing. In terms of him going to Man United, well, I don't wish him very well, as you can imagine, because he's going to be my rival. But he deserves what he got. He deserves to be in one of the best clubs in the world right now, because the work that he did in the last years has been unbelievable. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I agree with him that he's an excellent manager and improve a lot. But that's happened when you are a lot of times with the same club, same team, when the direction of sport directors go in the same page. And I had the feeling from outside that Obiana with Ruben they were really, really close, and they make a really good decision. So, and I'm pretty sure I'm a better manager now than when I started 40 years ago. Just for the experience. You live a lot of experience, good and ones, and you learn from that. You learn from the players, you learn from many things. So it's not the issue. Here at the end, I never pretend to be better than the other one, never pretend to be more success than the other one. What I pretend is to my team, and the game we're going to play better than the opponent and deserve to win the game. This is only my target, and at the end is a consequence for these kind of things.
Speaking in their press conferences yesterday. Here's the Sporting team arriving now, and Sporting have won 2 league and cup doubles under Ruben Amorim. This season they have played 10 games in the league and they have won 10 games in the league. They're also unbeaten in the Champions League as well. They're currently on 7 points, just like City, 2 wins and a draw, although City do have a significantly better goal difference, which is why we're quite further up the table than they are currently. So that is the team arriving now. Nedum, what do you make of the appointment and the situation of him knowing that he's got 2 games left there before he leaves? Also, by the way, he's 39, which is a decade older than Manu Akanji.
Quick math. First I've got to say, I love those interviews with Bernardo and with Pep. Pep speaking about football is incredible. I think the way he can sort of really explain his role, and the fact that he says, I want to build a team that plays well and deserves to win a game. That's what he's judging his team based on. But I think for the Amorim situation, I think at times maybe we're overreacting a little bit to say how messy it looks. But then is that different to say at the end of a season when somebody knows a manager's going to be leaving and someone else is going to be coming in the next season? It's probably quite similar in some ways. But because it's happened in November, it does feel strange. But I think one thing you can see from the pictures which we have here, this is a guy who's very much loved. When he came to Sporting, they needed to go through a real drastic change. Kind of feels like Man United at this moment in time. And he managed to do that and he made them successful. And he's leaving them in a far better place than when he arrived. And that's what you want from a manager as such. And again, I'm like Bernardo. I want him to be a disaster in Manchester, I'll be completely honest with you. But as it stands, a lot of people are speaking very highly of him, and he's very deserving of that based on the work that he's done to this point. Obviously, coming to the Premier League is different, but it's not impossible, because some people say, they've been in this league and that league, and someone says, for example, Ten Hag was never going to do well at United because he's coming from the Dutch league. But then Arne Slot's fitting at Liverpool, and people saying, it feels like it's a great appointment. There are inconsistencies in our thought, but again, I root for him to fail today, this weekend, and for however long he's in that Man United place.
Yeah, hopefully City beat him tonight, and then City beat him again in a couple of weeks when we play Manchester United.
It'd be fantastic.
Chief, but if you're hoping for him to just fail, he ain't going to be in the job long, is he, at United?
Well, you say that. You say that. You say that. But it's interesting because he's getting so much praise, and everyone knows his style of play, and people will say, United need this identity. Well, see if he can go and do it with those bunch of players,
We're not going to talk about the Reds too much, but they have the capacity to do well.
They've got the capacity to do better.
Yeah, all right. That's the same. That's kind of what I meant.
Yeah, they've got the capacity to do better.
Yeah.
But so do a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So
of course,
it'll be a big job for him, and I hope that as he leaves Sporting, he can be celebrated because he does deserve it. But I hope he loses today, and he's all upset, and I'm sure he knows that he's going to play against City in the future. Knows he's going to get it then as well. Yeah. Twice a year, forever. How about that?
Yeah. Welcome to the Premier League. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nedum, for not sitting on the fence like Shaun did. I want to talk about
that was actually punditry. This was just bias.
Thank you very much, Chief. See,
this was bias.
That's the difference.
We don't do punditry. We do Man City. I'm joking. Right, I want to talk about one specific player in the team as well. Viktor Gy&ouml. No, I've pronounced that wrong now that Ali's not in my ear. Gyökeres.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember him. I covered a Coventry game. I think it was 2 years ago when he was still playing for Coventry, and he was so head and shoulders in the Championship, and then he got sold to Sporting, and his record is unbelievable. This season, he's played 17 games and he scored 20 goals. The man is on fire at the minute with goals. I think he got a hatful at the weekend as well, 3 or 4 at the weekend. He really is on fire at the minute, Shaun. In terms of, for this game tonight, we're going to have to silence him. But looking forward, surely this is a player that he's going to try and bring to Ruben Amorim's going to try and bring to the Premier League.
From his stats, it's somebody that he's going to have to do it, or somebody else is going to do it kind of before him. There's a lot of teams out there that need that sort of player, but we are going to have to silence him. I think this may hopefully be a different opposition that they face in terms of he might not get as much as the ball as he's used to getting in terms of on those weekly bases in the Portuguese league. But by the sounds of it, if he gets his chances, he's doing pretty much what Haaland does in terms of he's taken them, and he gets a lot of assists as well, which people haven't really said. So he's kind of an all-round package as well. So it'll be an interesting. So Jemai will have probably his toughest test yet, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing that battle.
Yeah, now you've said that, I'm really looking forward to seeing that as well, seeing how the Jemai and how the centre-backs are going to deal with him, Nedum.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can see footage of people, the way that they play, we can see the goals, see the assists and so on, but when it's out there in front of you,
it's different.
And it's so different because there's so many other things to be looking at as well. But Gyökeres, he's one of the most informed players in Europe, one of the most highly coveted, it feels like, at this moment in time. So I'm sure he'll have a say in this game in some way and have a say for, the period going forward. But again, it's a story where, I think I've tried to say this recently, like, you've got managers and you've got coaches.
Yeah.
I think you play your best football with coaches because they show you what you need to do to get better. I think a manager at times, like we had one at QPR, who said to us...
They don't teach you.
Yeah, he just said, just go out and play.
They don't.
And when we weren't playing well, it's like, why are you guys not playing well? It's all your fault. But I think some managers, some coaches, they can see potential in players and bring out the best in them. And I think that's what we're seeing with Gyökeres, because yes, he was head and shoulders above people in the Championship for talent, but all his true potential is being unlocked at this moment in time. This is why he's so sought after. And I'm sure he'll continue to get better. But again, I root for him to have a terrible day today, respectfully. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm very much enjoying your petty.
I'm being as honest as I can be. I'm being honest, guys.
I'm so here for it. I love it. You're very welcome on this show. So we talk about a player there that's in fine form. Well, another player that's currently in excellent form is Matheus Nunes. And he has, of course, his own links to Sporting. He played 3.5 years at Sporting Lisbon. So we caught up with him to hear some of his most memorable moments.
They gave me everything for me to be professional and to have an opportunity to be where I am today. So this is a picture from my first game when I made my debut against Viktor Gy&ouml. And it was a very special day for me. Of course, that's what we work for, to make our debut professionally and to do so in Sporting, which is the biggest club in Portugal for me. It was an amazing feeling. I was very happy. I was very nervous, I remember. Played double pivot, I think, and we won the game. So it was a very special day for me. Yeah, so this was when I scored my first goal against Braga. We won 2-0. We were winning 1-0, so it was a tough moment in the game, and then we scored the second, so it was kind of a relief. And also for me personally, like I said, I'm never going to forget. I was lucky enough that I scored against the biggest clubs in Portugal, so it was very good. So yeah, I remember this as well. This was when I scored against Benfica in the 92nd minute of the game. Probably the most special goal I scored for the club. It was just pure emotion just to win this game against Benfica. It's a derby, it's the biggest rivals in Portugal. Any win in the last seconds is special, and especially against Benfica, and scoring a goal like this, it was top. So this is when we won the championship. I can't describe it. This is the most special thing in football, is when you win the title. That's what you work for during the whole season. Everyone this year knows how special this title was. The group was very united. Yeah, it was very, very special. I had my mom and my brother in the stands, and also because of that, it was just a special season. I mean, it was probably, if not the most special one until now, it's one of the best for me. This is my last goal against Rio Ave. We won 3-0, I think. And I ended up leaving Sporting like 5 days after this. I didn't know, in this game I didn't know that I was gonna leave, to be honest. And I remember I also didn't celebrate this goal. I just stood still and very serious. And I think it was just because it was a relief to finally score from outside the box, and it was my last without me knowing. They gave me everything for me to be professional and to have an opportunity to be where I am today.
Matheus Nunes, who of course starts tonight and spent 3.5 years at Sporting Lisbon. And I think it's fair to say, gents, I mean, he is in some fine form at the minute.
Yeah, I think for him, in many ways, especially Chief will know what it's like when you're just waiting for that moment to get a run in games just so you can show people what you're actually worthy and capable of, and that you fit into the squad and you belong here. And I think he's doing what everybody believed he could do when he got bought to the club in the first place. And when he first came, he in many ways, he started off early. He got running quickly, got involved in early goals, and then it kind of just changed for him. And now he's worked hard and he seems to be playing with a lot of confidence, especially, me and Chief were just talking in that Spurs game, the things that he was doing is he looks like he's enjoying it all again.
In terms of where do you stand on his best position, Nedum? Because obviously I thought that he was more of a central midfielder, but we've been seeing him playing out on the left for the last few games.
It's a good question, that. I think he could play as an attacking midfielder if need be. I don't know if he's necessarily a 10, but then I can see him doing well out wide as well. I think his ability to carry the ball and some of his link-up play is exceptional. And when he gets the chance to go and take it to people, you know, he definitely does do that. But he's also proven to be very intelligent as well in terms of how City are trying to play and him understanding it. And best of all, you know, it's good to see people who are popular within the squad getting the chance to play, because not everybody gets that opportunity. And now we can see who he is. And, you know, some of that comes from the confidence in knowing, not that, like, I hope I play this week. It's I know I'm playing this week. And so you prepare differently. Your mindset's different. Like, the way you prepare emotionally, physically, everything's different. And we can see exactly who he is. And he's been very, very impressive. But again, it's because we're getting a chance to see him play week in, week out at this moment in time. I think he's done so well that, you know, when everybody's back in the squad, you could make a very good case for him being somebody who will make a difference. You know, that ball there to Erling, obviously, if you can play it and you know what Erling's going to do, but he's got an eye for a pass as well as somebody who can dribble with the ball. So I'm delighted for him. And, yeah, he's making the difference that he would have wanted to make. And he's somebody, you know, he talks about the greatest feeling in football he's had is winning a league with Sporting. Well, for him, you know, he's looking forward to the joy of winning one potentially with City at some point. And if he can be on the field for it, you know, it's a great signing for City and a great mentality for somebody who hasn't started every game to this point. 3
assists and 2 goals in his last 4 games.
And they like him. This is the thing. You know, for me, I promise you, there's something to be said. When you see a team score a goal, look at how they celebrate with the person, because it says a lot about the mentality of those people. Like, if you see big smiles on people's faces, it's because they're well beloved in the squad. And considering that's a guy who doesn't play every single week, Erling Haaland loves him. Bernardo Silva loves him, you know. And I think the fans of Man City, as you can see, they're slowly but slowly falling in love with him as well. And I'm definitely on board with it because I think he's a great player.
Yeah, I did a corporate thing with him and Kevin De Bruyne, and the two of them did not stop laughing the whole time, to the point where it was hard to do my job because they were having that much of a good time in each other's company.
Listen, I'm well up for that. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
So best of luck, of course, to Matheus Nunes, who starts this evening. So we found out a little bit more about Matheus Nunes there, but now I'd like to take the chance to find out a little bit more about Nedum Onuoha. I feel like we should have had a
about me personally.
About you. Yeah. Yes, about you. Because you
are... Is this a bit concerning now?
You're one of the faces of Manchester City now around the globe, because we travel you round the world on the trophy tour, and you know, you're getting everywhere now. But for some of our new fans of Matchday Live, if you're just joining us most recently, maybe you're thinking,
who's this
guy?
I'd
like to know more about this guy that travels the world.
Yeah, speaking a good word of Man City, that's what I do, yeah.
That is what you do. What a job you have. So what we're going to do is I've got 16 questions that I'm going to fire off, and they're just generally, just so we can all get to know you a bit more.
Is it that 16 okay? Because that was my first squad number?
Is that one of the questions? Oh,
don't say that, because then I've got like 29.
Oh, you'll be a front.
Nice. Don't worry, Shaun. We're not doing this one with you, but I do have a quiz for you later as well. Wouldn't leave you out, would I? You know I love a quiz. Okay, are you ready? And I really do wish that
these
the lights
questions
were
about me.
Dark. Yeah.
So I can't get these wrong.
No, you can't get them wrong. We're asking you about you. We're finding out a bit about you. Come on.
Go on then.
How old are you?
37 for another week.
You have to think about that.
Is your birthday next week? Happy birthday.
The 11th, right?
12th.
12th. No, it's close.
Close is close.
Close
Today's
range.
actually Kasper Schmeichel's former teammate, former City goalkeeper. Yeah,
Okay.
His birthday today.
Thanks for that added piece of information.
There you go,
Okay,
context.
question number 2. What age were you when you joined the Manchester City
I
Academy?
was 10.
Were you
10.
scouted or what?
I was scouted, yeah. And I was scouted. I thought I was scouted just for City. Delighted. Obviously, had a great time. But it turned out I was scouted for United at the same time. But my dad said to the scout that he doesn't support United, so there'd be no point. He said,
Excellent work, your dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, going to City in the 90s was a great decision to make.
Yeah.
But
you
here
were
we
the
are.
real Jimmy Grimble, by the way, weren't you?
Yeah, I
you
guess I
really
was.
were.
Yes, I was.
How old were you when you made your first team debut?
17.
17. Okay.
I think that's 4th youngest, possibly 5th now because a few youngsters have had a game recently,
Yeah.
but in the club's history. Or definitely Premier League history at least.
Okay. What was the name of the first team you ever played for?
AFC Clayton. I don't think they're going anymore, but it's not too far from here, and I loved every second of it, yeah.
I love that you remember all that. AFC Clayton. Okay. Who were your best friends in the Manchester City team?
Ooh, that's a good question. There would be the likes of Ishmael Miller, Nathan and Jonathan Delaye, because I played under 10s all the way through
twins,
to
right?
the twins, yeah, to like first team with them. In terms of people who played for longer periods, there's obviously Micah, but I was working with Joe Hart on Sunday, and it's great to see him because I remember when he first came from Shrewsbury and his eyes were so wide open to this new place. So I'd probably say someone like him as well, and I can't forget the likes of Johnny Lescott. You know, that's a king to me. Stephen Ireland as well.
But not Shaun Wright-Phillips.
I was gonna say-
Okay.
I was going to say that.
Sean,
You just
I
left
don't
me out.
need to. Shaun is probably one of the most important people in my career because I watched him, ball boyed for him, I played with him, and he allowed me a chance to be the person I am. Like this is like a
You
big.
still
honor to me.
didn't name him as one of your best friends.
Shaun Wright-Phillips.
Too late now.
It's never too late.
Right,
It's never
number
too
6.
late.
When did you score your first professional goal and who was it against?
Well, believe it or not, this was against Spurs, and it was when Sven-Göran Eriksson was manager. So I went 3 years without scoring, and I thought it was going to be Klaus Lundic for him. He had like 400 odd games and never scored. It was a header, and it was in the north stand, and it was to make it, I think, 2-1. Yes, I think it's make it 2-1. It was kind of the winning goal, yeah.
Okay, right, we're going to rapidly go through these with
Go for
a
it.
little less detail. We
Sorry,
appreciate
apologies,
that.
too much detail.
Who was the funniest player in the dressing room when you played for City?
I can't say player, but I'll say Les Chapman, Kitman.
Oh, Chappy.
Ah, good
Undefeated.
answer.
Can't match him, yeah.
Okay, that's a mega answer. Okay, number 8. Who was the best player you ever played with during your whole career?
That's an odd one.
Just say Shaun Wright-Phillips, the guy sat right
No, this is a better player.
I think in terms of players where if they played at their best, there was no point being there, I'd probably say Yaya Toure. Yeah, if he played well, the game's done.
there. What a player. Who was the hardest player you ever faced during your career?
Hardest. So not the best, just the hardest. I'd probably say, this might sound a bit weird, but I'd say John Carew, because it was like a fridge-freezer combo. Like, I remember one time myself and Michael playing against him. Michael's tried to shoulder barge him a couple of times and dropped to the floor both times, to which I said, I'll tell you what, I'll leave that with you. And I fled the scene. So yeah, I'd probably say John Carew.
What a story. We need to remind Micah of that at some point. Right, number 10. Tevez or Aguero?
Do you know when they were both together at the same time, I said Tevez. History shows Aguero. But Tevez, what he meant to come from United to come to City, the way he sort of helped the players elevate in terms of stature and importance at the football club. Like, I love Tevez. He set the tone. Crowd could get right behind him. But, you know, only one of them's got stature outside the stadium, so I've got to say Aguero.
Okay. Tevez or Haaland?
What a toxic question that is. I think Haaland's impact is going to be greater, but I only played with Tevez. So I'll have to say what Tevez did for me, so I'll say Tevez.
Okay. Yaya Toure or Kevin De Bruyne?
What a privilege to be able to talk about those two playing for City, by the way. Like, I get caught in start bench self things like this, but I think Yaya, Kevin is so incredibly unique. The stuff that he does, his eye for the game, all that stuff. He's one of my favourite players ever. And I'd say Yaya's impact is greater, but Kevin is more of my favourite. But I have to go Yaya.
Okay. Right, one-word answers for these last ones.
Sorry, I can't help myself.
No, you're all right. We appreciate it. Right, beach holiday or city break?
City break.
That was 2 words. Favourite meal? I'm joking.
See what she did there?
Favourite meal?
Through my life, it'll be home-cooked food from my mum.
Oh, good answer. What did you spend your first really big paycheck on?
I got myself a VW Polo. Yeah. And then I was like ridiculed for it every single day I used to turn up at training. But it got me from A to B, and that was a crucial thing.
Boys are mean.
Exactly.
What do you wish you could have achieved in your career that you didn't?
So the year, I don't have regrets as such, but the year when City won the league for the first time, I only played in one league game. At the time, whatever the threshold was, if I would have played in more, I would have a league winners medal. And to get called a league champion would be an incredible feeling, especially to do it for the team which I supported as a kid. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that, but I got a chance to see it because I was there for 6 months. But again, I would have loved to have been a bigger part of that. But, you know, it's the way football goes.
Last question, what's your favourite hobby outside of football?
Favourite hobby? I can hear people in galleries saying, oh, he plays golf. Not as much as you think. Do you know what? This might sound really corny, but I like to spend time with people I care about. So whether we're going to cafes, travelling the world, going and walk, seeing different places, like that, spending quality time with people, that's what's key for me because it feels like, you know, you're in a happy place.
Oh, very nice.
I know. I'm soft at heart, really.
He's a sentimental guy at heart.
I'm sorry. This is the real me. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you very much for playing that. Now, we all know you much better as well. See, I love that. I knew that would be great. OK, earlier in the day, of course, our under-19s played in the UEFA Youth League. And it was a tough day for them. They will have learned a lot today because they got beaten 2-0. It was goals by Denilson Santos and Gabriel Silva. And also, there was a red card in the game for Max Elaine. He was the last man and he brought down the Sporting forward, which means that he will miss the next game that they play against Feyenoord in a few weeks. So here's the thoughts of Ben Wilkinson.
Ben, that felt like quite a competitive game, but Sporting were just able to take the chances. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I thought, you know, the game probably looked as we expected in terms of two good teams. First half was, tough, quite attritional. Cancelled each other out a little bit, but stayed in the game, which I think is important in these games away from home in Europe against good sides. Got a chance to get the lads in at half-time and speak about one or two things, and I thought we started the second half really, really well. So it was a real sucker punch to concede off our throw-in, which 10 seconds later the ball's in the back of our net. So, yeah, definitely things to learn off that, because it obviously had a big effect on the game, having started the second half so well to concede the first goal, a couple of individual mistakes. And, you know, probably one that we'd look back on and be disappointed to concede. Then after that, I thought we responded well again, and again got done on a transition, and no one was able to get out and block, which, you know, we would have expected in that situation. So I think in the first 15 minutes of the second half, we probably had our best 15 minutes of the game, but in that moment we've conceded 2 goals on transition. So what we know about this competition is that when you play against the top teams on, you know, these moments, there's some top players around, and if we're not 100% at it, then you lose the big moments, and I felt that's probably what happened today.
With 2 wins and 2 defeats now, where do you feel that leaves our chances of progression? I mean, I've not looked at what else has happened elsewhere. I think for us it's just about focusing on the next game now against Feyenoord when we get to that point, and trying to win that game. I've got no doubt that on our day we're capable of competing and going quite deep in the competition. I just think when we come against these top teams, we just need to find a way to come on top on the small margins, which in the 2 games we've lost this year, we've lost those big moments. And I think that's the thing for the players to take away from today is just making sure for 95 minutes you're completely, you know, your concentration, your focus is there on every little detail. As you say, a few weeks until that Feyenoord game, a week until the EFL trophy's back. How do you pick up the players to go again next week? Listen, we've played really well over a period of time now, so you know when you go into these games, there's a chance. It's always a chance that you can lose the game when you're playing against other teams who are top teams. So I don't think picking the players up will be too much of a problem. It's just a case of learning from what we feel we could do better today, and getting the players prepared for the next game. So yeah, I don't think picking them up will be too much of a problem. It's just making sure we take the learning from the game. Thank you for your time, Ben.
Thanks.
I've set standards.
Ederson is coming off and Scott Carson is coming on. And he gets a huge roar of approval from the Etihad Stadium crowd.
I see John Stones and Laporte there were both applauding him onto the pitch, so obviously a popular member of the group.
I've got a work ethic that I hope people have looked at.
And Scott Carson's save.
Really good.
In general, people don't see much of his abilities in training.
Yeah, he deserves it.
If you see how he's training, and how he is on the line saving balls, it's incredible.
Here's Marcus Edwards. Beautifully nicked through, and Carson makes a wonderful save. He might be injured here,
Well, it's the most difficult save that any goalkeeper has had to make tonight.
It was a one-on-one, he came out, he made himself big, he made the save, he took a whack, and he has just been acclaimed a hero by the Etihad Stadium faithful.
So important for us in the locker room, and it helps to, to Eddie and Zach be calm. And
he's training really well. He's obviously a great guy to have. He's very popular in the dressing room. He's very popular in our fan base.
So no goals tonight, but well, we all know this game was all over. 5-0 away from home meant that tonight's game was a little bit of a formality. There was one lovely moment in the second half when Scott Carson came on for Ederson and was in a one-on-one situation with Paulinho and made the save. It was a little bit of a party atmosphere in so many ways.
Hopefully he can play, and he can play a few more years, and can stay here a few more years.
His last UEFA Champions League appearance was for Liverpool in 2005.
The manager needs me. I'm going to be ready.
He's really not just a lovely guy, also for his age, a great footballer.
Of course, that takes us back to the 21-22 season when we played Sporting in the last 16 of the Champions League. We beat them 5-0 away. An absolutely incredible performance that night. And then at home, it was 0-0. And of course, it was the night we remember for the 17-minute Scott Carson cameo. So it gives us the opportunity both not to talk about that game, but to talk about Scott Carson, which we don't often get to do on this show. So I just think that's wonderful. And you both played with him.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Where did you play with him?
I'm old, right? I'm going back some years.
So is he.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been not long before I left to go to, obviously, QPR.
Okay.
But, and England.
England,
I would say,
yes.
more so.
Yeah. England.
So I played England under 21s with him, actually.
Wow!
Yeah,
was he under 21?
We used to call him.
What do you mean?
We used to call him Desperate Dan.
Yes, so we played in the tournament for England under 21s in 2007 when we got to the semi-finals in the Netherlands, losing to the Netherlands in that game. And just a really, really nice guy. From a part of the country where you don't get a ton of footballers coming from. Up there in like the northwest. But really good guy. And I'll be honest, a couple of things actually. Some of these City productions are, in fact, all the City productions are top tier. Like, I sit back and I'm just watching them like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
This is so cool. This is why I have a City Plus subscription. But it's like, this is so cool. And you see it and you see the personal side of things. You get Gundogan talking about him, not just as a goalkeeper, but as a person. Yeah. And you realise that's why he's still here. Somebody that doesn't get a ton of opportunity is likely to have a bad attitude. But instead, Scott's somebody who is going to flourish and enable people to really have a go. Like, the role of the third goalkeeper, he will probably spend more time with most of the starters than, say, the other goalkeepers will, because he'll face more of their shots. Yeah. But if he's not doing well, they'll lose interest in him. But the fact is, he will be doing well. He wants to go out there, he wants to work hard and try and stay ready for the opportunity. And in that moment, I remember seeing him when he came on in that game. And it's funny because Ilkay's saying he's old then. Well, here we are 2 years later. You know what I mean?
Still here.
Yeah, he's still here, and I'm delighted he's still here, and he's a great servant for this football club.
We heard Ilkay say it there, and everyone seems to say it, Shaun, about how well liked he is by the players and the coaching staff, and how important is that for his role as the third goalkeeper?
It's massively important. There's always, you would say, normally at the clubs that are like family orientated in many ways. There's always one of those, whether it be a goalkeeper or a senior player or Les Chapman, the kit man, there's always, we had Brandon here for a spell as well, that you always need that person that kind of, when things ain't necessarily going the way you want them to go, they are like the life of the dressing room. They without saying it, they make you feel like it's okay, it's football. We'll improve, we'll get better. And you meet Scotty away from it, he's always smiling, he's always happy. And like Nedum and Ilkay said, he works hard. He doesn't, I've been lucky enough to see him in pre-season. He trains like it's his last training session every day. Yeah. He fully enjoys it and comes away from it smiling. And I think there's no better third choice keeper for City to have at this moment.
And that's a side of something he said there about pre-season. That's something that a lot of people don't understand about the third choice goalkeeper. They have to work very, very hard. But because we only see games, some people assume that they're not doing anything. Like Scott is loved by the coaching staff because of his work ethic, because of the relationship that he has with the players. He's not a paid mascot. He is the goalkeeper that helps this team out. He's the goalkeeper who will be fielding shots, who will be organising teams. Because, if you only have one, like the main goalkeeper, then what happens if they're not there? Like, who's going to be filling in? Can the session room keep to the same standard? I think Scott's brilliant at that. And the longer he's been here, the more he understands the Man City culture, which is another big thing about having him in that dressing room.
Mm.
And he's great for content as well.
Oh, fire for content. He's brilliant fella.
Remember when we dressed him up as a cowboy?
Yeah. And you know what? He really is taken like CITC close to his heart as well. Like, I love the guy. Obviously I'm biased because I've played with him, but as I see the impact that he's had at City, like, I'm hugely proud to say that that's somebody who I know he's not my closest friend, like I said before on the whole question thing, but he's definitely someone I'd love to spend more time with.
I love that. I love that. Yes, we love our Scott Carson. He got such a great reception that night. I was in the ground that night and everybody went wild to see him there. So I love the fact that was against Sporting and it let us have a good old chat about him there. So we're going to have a look now at a bit of a recap on how the women's team have done so far this season. Currently top of the WSL and progressing really, really well, of course, in the Champions League as well. This was the 3-0 win at the weekend over Crystal Palace. My word!
Just bangers only.
That was
bangers
some
only.
finish.
Yeah, she's some players, Jess Park. And it's good to see Jill Road back as well. I think that's her second goal since the season's restarted after her injury. And I think that was her fourth goal in 4 games because she scored a couple whilst away with the Netherlands as well. But they're in a really good position right now. They feel like they're being super clinical at the moment. As I say, getting the chance to see Jill coming back, obviously with Miedemar being out for however long she's going to be out for. And then best of all, you see balls into the box like this, and who is it that's in there? It's the top goal scorer in the division, doing what she does best. It's great to see City being clinical. The football is always great. And the fact they're getting some significant results for it, the title push is very much on, and I'm here for it.
They had to wait a while in that game.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace was very stubborn, and I think in many ways it's a testament to them how patient they were at keep trying to probe and find those right options to create chances, and Jess finds that space and hits the shot and it goes in far corner. So they deserve that, and they deserve where they are in the table.
Shout out to all those City fans as well that travelled all the way down south for that game as well. We could see them there celebrating behind.
Should we call them the Ultras?
Well.
City Ultras.
They're definitely the Ultras. I put you two in those women's Ultras as well, by the way.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah,
you're there. They've had a great start to the season. They're top of the league, and obviously in a transition season for other teams in the league. We obviously know that Arsenal sacked their manager. We know that of course that Emma Hayes left and that Chelsea brought in a new manager as well. But our Gareth stays firm. So it feels, Nedum, like a really, really good opportunity this season to bring some silverware home.
Yeah, absolutely it does. I think the Arsenal one's interesting because the other side of Wild, he hadn't had a good start and there was some pressure on him. But it was interesting that he walked away as opposed to getting sacked.
Oh, did he walk away?
Yeah, he walked away, he resigned. He resigned, yeah.
See, I never believe it when I hear that.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, my little inside info, he did walk away and they did want to keep him.
Okay.
But they're still a good side. We saw that when City played against them earlier in the season. And then the agonising thing for me is watching Chelsea with Bon Pastor as the coach. They're still really, really good. And they can make so many changes like they did on the weekend, and they can be clinical. And if they win their game in hand, they are top of the table because they have won every game. But they had a game against United which was postponed due to the Champions League. But City, when we saw last year, they were goal difference away from winning the title. They don't feel worse this year. And I think that memory from last year will make a big difference. And another thing that make a difference is support. I think this Friday they're playing at home at the Etihad. Is it this Friday?
Yes, this Friday.
Friday, yeah.
This Friday.
Against Spurs. Like, what a night that'll be under the lights at the Etihad. Yes, please, inject it into my veins.
Tickets are on sale now. Well done, you.
Yes.
Tickets are on sale. It is at the Etihad Stadium. Friday night under the lights. Sounds like an absolute dream for me. You can get those. They're on sale now from £15, mancity.com/tickets. Cannot wait for that game on Friday night, City taking on Spurs in the WSL. And I also cannot wait for our next quiz. I told you weren't going to get away with not.
I was hoping I did get away with it.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Absolutely not. This was my priority, getting you two to do quizzes tonight. Now, yours is a little bit more complicated, but we'll work it out together. So basically, what I'm going to do is I have 8 different questions for you, and you're going to tell me your favourite player based on the questions that I ask you. Then when we get your 8 players, we're going to do a head-to-head so that we end up with one player.
Okay. Yeah.
You just sit back and relax as well. You can
With pleasure.
You enjoy this bit, Nedum.
With
Right.
pleasure.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, who's the best player you've ever played with?
This guy's got some choices. He's not said me, but carry on.
Didn't play with him long, but I'd most probably say Yaya Toure.
There's some Yaya loving going on in this show, and I'm here for it. Okay, which footballer did you want to be like growing up?
No one. I didn't model myself off anybody. I just done me.
Yeah, himself, yeah.
I'm going to force you to pick somebody. Should we say your dad?
No.
No.
Because he's a striker.
So we're giving Yaya a bye to the next round?
Yeah.
Right, Yaya gets a bye. Okay, next question. Who's the best player in the world right now?
Right now?
Right now.
That's playing or that's injured?
Right now.
Rodri.
Who is the best City player of all time?
I can't name 2 people of all time. You know what?
There's an older audience here on this show.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Not all stands have names on them, but some.
You can pick whoever you want.
Yeah.
No, if I go back,
there's the North Stand.
You know what? I was a massive Kinky fan.
Oh yes.
I was massive, so for me personally, the way he played and everything, I would have been drawn to him.
There's a lot of angry people there, but
they can be as angry as they like.
No City fans are angry with that. We loved a bit of Georgian classic.
Yeah, Georgie was wicked.
Okay, if your life depended on someone scoring a penalty, who do you choose?
It's definitely not me, this one.
Definitely ain't myself. And it had to.
Player.
Yeah, that's what I was
Any player.
Any player.
Yeah.
Mario was cash, wasn't he? Balotelli.
Yeah, that's most probably who.
Mario.
Doesn't miss, does it?
Who is the best passer in football, past or present?
We've got to think about people like Glenn Hoddle, where
Something like passing for assists or like passing...
Just passing in general?
Whatever you want, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go Glenn.
Glenn Hoddle?
Yeah.
Who is the best finisher in the world, past or present?
Boy, Erling Crespo was something different.
You sure?
I'd said was something different.
I know, but do you need to mention him? Some people scored 900 plus goals in their careers.
Yeah, but...
Don't pick the tall one, pick the short one.
I'm not picking...
Pick the short one, man.
Yeah, I'm not...
Best finisher.
I said pick the short.
Pick the short one.
I'm not picking,
Best of all time.
Stat-wise. No, I'm not picking stat-wise. I'm talking about clinic that I've kind of seen.
Yep. It's his game. He can choose who he wants.
I'm trying to be the audience for you here too.
Yeah, but you can
let you know that people
best
know
finisher.
you're out on social, so they'll find you.
Yeah, there's 2 though. Yeah,
okay.
I have to say Ronaldo, but Messi's my favourite player.
Just say him then.
Say Messi then.
Messi, yeah.
There you go.
Messi.
That's finally we got there.
Messi, best dribbler.
Oh, Messi.
No, you can't have him because you've already had him.
Best dribbler. Of all time.
Yeah, for you. Have yourself if you want.
Nah. Thierry was a joke.
Yeah.
Thierry Henry.
Thierry Henry. Right, we've got your players. Now we're going to head-to-head them. So Yaya gets a bye because Shaun did not want to be like anybody else growing up. So next up, you've got Rodri or Georgie Kinklatzy. Rodri. OK. Next up, you've got Mario or Glenn Hoddle. Mario. Ooh, he's breathing now. Messi or Thierry Henry.
Messi.
OK, we're through to the, is this quarterfinals? Semis.
Yeah.
Yaya or Rodri. Ooh.
I'm going to go Rodri.
Oh, you fuming?
No, not at all. That's what. Just when we're done, I'll talk about his logic. But
I don't
please,
really want to hear what you talk about my logic today. We can do this
best ever City player was Kinklatzy, and then he lost to a City player in the head-to-head. But please carry on. Please carry on. I'm sure other people noticed that. But
Mario or Messi?
Yeah, but they were all... Say that again.
Mario or Messi?
I have to go Messi.
OK.
And the wrong words came out.
Here we go.
Relax.
This is your last one. Is it a past Ballon d'Or winner or is it the current Ballon d'Or winner? Messi versus Rodri.
In terms of what? All-round football?
I have no idea.
Well,
Just
for
for the
me,
game.
it's Messi. Messi's the best footballer I've seen in my lifetime.
You make the rules up.
Rodri finishing second to Messi's. I think that's a win.
Are you OK? What? You OK with that? Yeah?
I think that's a win. That's a win, yeah.
That's the win.
I think
That's your head-to-head winner then.
Yeah.
Could have just asked me. I would have just
all
said Messi from the beginning.
All roads lead to Messi.
I would have just said Messi from the beginning. You didn't need all those questions.
Would have just said Messi straight up.
Yeah.
It's a fair point. Right, listen, if you're just joining us, welcome to Matchday Live. If you haven't seen the City starting 11 yet, here it is for you. Edison, Lewis, Simpson Pesce, Akanji, Gvardiol, Kovacic, Silva, Silvinho, Foden, Matheus Nunes and Erling Haaland. So there is the starting 11. We are less than 15 minutes away from tonight's 8 p.m. kick-off. City taking on Sporting Lisbon away in Portugal, of course. As always, you'll get your full match commentary on the City app with Alistair Mann, and he's joined tonight by the wonderful Andy Morrison. Now, you are always really good on this table thing.
Yes.
This big old table.
Yes,
and in fact, you were saying the last time there was a Champions League game about the importance of goal difference, and we're already seeing that. Yeah. So each team plays 8 group games against different opponents in one big league.
Yes.
This is the big league so far. And we are there in third because of the goal difference. Villa and Liverpool clocking up 3 wins each there. So the top 8 will qualify automatically. The next 16, you can see Sporting there. They're in the top 8, but they're on 7. Now, you can see Arsenal are not in the top 8, and they're also on 7. So the goal difference really is key. So the top 8 qualify. The next 16 teams go into a playoff. So, I mean, so far, Nedum, you were bang on with the goal difference because it's tight up there.
Yeah, absolutely is. You know, the fact that you could be in 10th with 7 points and somebody being like 3rd on 7 points, I think it shows how important that is. I think where it gets a bit complex is the fact that you don't necessarily have a head-to-head with a team that you're trying to go above. So the events are almost completely separate. And as you look at, say, some of the teams' run-ins as such, some people might start crying foul, to be honest. Like, for example, I think it's Bayern Munich who started off, you know, at the very top after scoring 1 billion in their first game against someone. I think their last game is at home to Slovan Bratislava. So if it comes down to goal difference, with all due respect, I think Bayern might be a favoured team as such, whereas, you know, the likes of Aston Villa, they're playing home to Celtic and, you know, the Battle of Britain type stuff. Ooh. So there is a level of, like, nuance with all this. But I think it's been really interesting. And as these games now start to move on, and goal difference does make a difference, but the bunches aren't as tight, before you know it, it's about the points on the board. Who have you got next? Can you get this result? And can you put yourself in a position where going into the last game week, you've either got your spot secured, which is a good one, or you're thinking maybe we could sneak into the top 8 because the top 8 is the be-all and end-all. If you think that people complain that there've been 2 more games, well, I'll tell you what you don't need is 2 more being in the next section as well.
Yes, definitely. How are you enjoying the big league? I keep calling it the big league.
I quite enjoy it. I said it to Nedum last time. Obviously, I'm with a lot of the players. I didn't feel like they needed to put more teams in to do this format, but they've done it anyway. But I quite enjoy the fact that Lille can beat Real Madrid and Real Madrid don't have a chance to try and fix what they've done wrong, Like, I think it's only right that lower teams get that one chance where they have to be, at their maximum to get one over, and that Real Madrid must probably have their foot off the gas a little bit, and Lille took advantage of it. I think if you don't have this sort of format, in many ways you don't see that because they know they can fix that. Oh, we got to play them again. Whereas now you have to be like on it.
And everyone's going through different pressures as well. Like I mentioned Bayern Munich, you know, Vincent Kompany's Bayern Munich, and they battered someone in their first game, but then they lost to Villa.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Barcelona. So all of a sudden, the next games that they have,
they have to win.
They have to win,
yeah.
Which feels very different to, say, the 3 English teams at the top now, where they're aiming to win, but they know it's not definitive because they know they've got more games in the bag. If you start well, it gives you a different energy.
Yeah.
If you start to struggle, like there was a point where Real Madrid were under a bit of pressure. I think Paris Saint-Germain have got a tough run of games as well. So it's interesting, and for all those that love like the old as it stands tables, just you wait till match day 8.
What's happening match day 8?
18 games, right?
18 games kicking off at the same time. The table. Let's hope your Wi-Fi is strong enough to be able to deal with what's about to happen.
Are we home or away on that game?
Not sure.
We're home to Bruges on that game.
Okay, It will be an iconic moment within football. If you ever thought you've been overstimulated by football before, brace yourselves. Brace yourselves.
I can already see me sat refreshing the Etihad's Wi-Fi, trying to catch up on it.
Oh, Celtic are in 8th. Oh, no, wait a minute. They're 30 seconds. What's going on there? It's going to be one of those hectic days, but I'm here for it, I'll be honest.
Well, let's hope the City are well and truly locked in that top 8 by that point. And to do that, let us hope we pick up some more points this evening. The game is only a matter of minutes away now, Shaun. How are you feeling? Give me your kind of prediction of how the game's going to go.
It's going to be tough. I think Nedum hit the nail on the head in terms of this is kind of his send-off in many ways from his club, so the fans will be up for it, the players will be up for it, and in many ways we're not going there in the form that we know we're capable of. So it will be a really tough game, but we know we're going to create chances, and if we take them, we might put them on the back foot. But I feel I've got to stay positive. As long as we come away from this game with a point and we just don't lose, I think it's a positive result because it's not an easy place to go to.
Loving seeing there's a kid there in the middle of the Sporting Lisbon stand in a City shirt. Obviously, like, his dad must be a Sporting fan, but he's a City fan, and he's had to bring him. And he said, "I'm wearing my shirt." You can see it now. Good shout out. There he is. Look at that kid there. Go on, kid. He's got his Sporting scarf, though. He's probably trying to make his dad a bit happy there. But I'm loving that. Right, Nedum, the players are coming out. OK, give me score prediction.
I'm going to say 2-1 City.
Oh, it's just the subs. We're all right. We've got a minute. You're saying 2-1 to City.
I am.
Shaun?
I'm going to say nothing.
You're saying nothing?
Saying nothing, yeah.
Okay.
You know I don't say it like that.
I know. Score predictions.
Is it a goalless draw?
No,
there'll be goals in it.
No,
be goals in
never. The person that predicts a goalless draw should never be invited back on TV again. Because as they're watching the game, that's what they're rooting for, to prove that they're right.
That's boring.
That's a red flag if ever I saw one, yeah.
OK. Give me a quick thought on what's going through Jemai Simpson-Fusay's head right now.
I think he'll be nervous, but I think he'll also be excited. And I think that's a great feeling to have because you know you want to play well. But he's out there for a reason. One of the best managers in the history of football has decided that you are ready for this moment, coming to this cauldron in a place where these are the Portuguese champions, to play in the Champions League game under the lights in the midweek. It's like, I'm excited for him, and I don't think the occasion will faze him. So I hope he plays well. I hope he can have a moment within it which you'll remember, which goes beyond just playing in the game itself. And now to be tested against the likes of keres and so on, it's an incredible opportunity for a very deserving kid.
Oh, you've just made me feel a bit nervous there for him when you put it like that. Excited, but nervous.
That's the feeling, though. If you don't feel that when you're coming out to play football, then maybe the game doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for playing my games. Thank you very much, Shaun. Thank you very much to both of you. Thank you all for joining us on Matchday Live. As always, we're back at half-time and we'll be back at full-time as well. Get yourself onto the Manchester City app now if you're not currently watching on there for your full match commentary with Alistair Mann and with Andy Morrison. So on this bonfire night, let's hope that Manchester City are going to produce some fireworks.
Well, welcome to the Estádio José Alvalade in Lisbon, which is a sea of green and white, very similar to the Celtic colours, as Sporting Lisbon host City in one of the glamour ties of match day 4 of the UEFA Champions